All right, sounds great. We'll do so then. On that note, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is Adam Bunker. I'm a year-round leafy green producer in Sheridan, and it is also my honor to be the president of the Wyoming Food Coalition. The Wyoming Food Coalition is a statewide nonprofit with the mission to strengthen local food systems by connecting stakeholders and amplifying their voices so that Wyoming producers, eaters, and environments thrive. Or, in short, we're bringing together people involved in every aspect of food systems, from growing produce all the way up to ensuring that everyone has access to healthy food. And with those people, we're working to address challenges that face Wyoming. Now, our work is mainly accomplished through one of our 7 working groups, each of which are focused on different pieces of the overall system. And what this means is that people who want to get engaged and help out don't have to take on the entire broad spectrum of challenges facing food systems. They can instead engage on areas in which they're most passionate. So whether that's helping with food security in Native communities, helping local producers thrive, or for tonight, since you're joining us on this particular call, helping promote sustainable economics and ecosystems throughout Wyoming. Tonight's speaker series is hosted by the Sustainable Ecosystems Work Group, which plays a very important role in protecting the future of our food systems. We all are addressing some challenges that face folks now and in the future, but this group in particular has the unique challenge of addressing challenges now that also have to be sustainable into the future. But before I hand things off, I just want to thank all of you for taking time out of your week to join us. We know that many of you are probably at home and it's been a long day, maybe even a long week. So feel free to make yourselves comfortable while you enjoy the session, have a drink, force your kids to come in and watch this with you, get a pet to keep you company, whatever you'd like to do. We just appreciate you sharing your time this evening. If you're not yet a member of the Food Coalition and you'd like to get more involved, please visit our website at wyfoodcoalition.org and hit the Join Us link, or find out a little bit more about some of the other working groups and what we're doing to help out Wyoming. On that note, it's my pleasure to introduce Mike Selmer, the chair of the Sustainable Ecosystems Working Group. Mike, take it away.
Thank you, Adam. As Adam said, I'm the chair of the Sustainable Ecosystems Working Group. Our group wants to make sure that sustainability and good stewardship of our natural resources are a part of every Wyoming Food Coalition endeavor. There are 2 efforts that our working group is currently undertaking. The first is a Wyoming Soil Health Initiative, which Professor Jay Norton from the University of Wyoming will talk briefly about next. And the second is Community and School Gardens, which is the focus of this evening's speaker series. By the end of the meeting, I hope that you will be motivated to join efforts for community and school gardens in your community, or if there isn't one, to get them going with the help, guidance, and resources you will hear about tonight. And with that, I want to introduce Professor Jay Norton. And he's going to talk a little bit about the Wyoming Wyoming Soil Initiative, Soil Health Initiative. Take it away, Jay.
Thanks very much, Mike. I'm a professor and statewide soil science extension specialist. Maybe we will have a soil health extension specialist one day. And I've really been tuned into soil health in a big way these last couple of years. And it's a trend that's happening really across the country, and particularly in the West, I think. A lot of states are developing these soil health initiatives, and they're all tailored to the state they're in. And I've been tuned into the efforts in Colorado and Montana and other surrounding states to try to envision an effort for Wyoming. And I've been working with Joe Budd at the governor's office to start to put together a task force to further develop this vision. But right now, I don't think I have to convince this group of the value of healthy soil to an agricultural economy. And speaking to tonight's subject, gardening and school gardens are just an excellent way to learn about soil health and what makes healthy soils. We envision a three-pronged approach, science and practice group that really looks at ways to measure soil health and ways to improve soil health, an outreach and extension effort, and an implementation effort that develops kind of creative strategies for incentivizing soil health practices. The goal is really to bring the whole Wyoming agricultural community together around soil health and partnership, a broad partnership across ag groups and others in the state. So right now we're putting together this task force, and hopefully we're going to be having some meetings later this spring to really start to develop this vision for Wyoming and push hopefully some enabling legislation across the wherever it needs to go. I don't know if there's any questions or if we just need to move on there, Mike.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Jay. If you're interested in being involved with the Soil Health Initiative, Jay, maybe you could put your email address in the chat.
Absolutely.
But people could reach out to you to stay in touch and be involved with that. And so we'll go right into our speaker series. I'm going to leave it to each speaker to maybe give a brief introduction of themselves and the roles they play in whatever organization they're representing. And our first speaker is from Laramie, at least for the time being, and that is Trish Penny.
Hi, good evening. Can everybody hear me okay?
Again.
Okay. I think Emily has my PowerPoint.
Yeah, I'll pull that up right now.
Okay. Well, I'm Trish Penny with Laramie Rivers Conservation District. I'm their education coordinator. And I basically have been installing greenhouses and gardens throughout Albany County for the school district. We've been teaching after-school garden programs. Some of the schools have programs that they operate during the day. We open it up to the community members during the summer months. So it's been a pretty active program. So the presentation that I'm going to do today is basically, it's a slideshow about the power of a school garden. Next. Okay, Emily. Okay. Research has been conducted by Cornell University that indicates if children are exposed to nature, later in life, they're more likely to overcome obstacles to experience it again. Nature, plants, and gardening have benefits that include decreasing stress, increasing productivity, and increasing satisfaction, which are all things that should be important to schools. Not to mention that gardening can be incorporated into a curriculum so that time spent in the garden isn't time spent not meeting teaching standards. Next. According to the most recent numbers, Albany County School District has 3,950 students enrolled. 26% of the students have previously received free and reduced priced breakfasts and lunches. That is 1,027 students. That does not even include the children that are homeschooled or not yet enrolled in schools. And we're fortunate this year that through the USDA, there were waivers that all breakfasts and lunches are now free for the schools. Unfortunately, this program is scheduled to end June 30th, but there is some discussion that either this particular program or something similar will follow. Next. With children's nutrition under assault by fast food and junk food industries, and with only about 1/4 of adults eating the recommended quantities of fruits and vegetables, it's no wonder that nearly 1/3 of our children are reported to be overweight or at risk for being overweight. School gardening offers children opportunities for outdoor exercise while teaching them a useful skill. Gardens containing fruit and vegetables can also help to revise attitudes about particular foods. There is mounting evidence that active learning is in less structured, participatory spaces like gardens is more likely to transform children's food attitudes and habits, and that school gardening, especially when combined with a healthy lunch program or nutritional education, encourages more healthful food choices. Students are more likely to try eating vegetables that they have grown themselves and to ask for them at home. Next. Gardening offers hands-on experiential learning opportunities in a wide array of disciplines, including the natural and social sciences, math, language arts through gardening journaling, visual arts through garden design and decoration, and nutrition. With recent concern over relatively weak science and math skills among American children, the need for innovation in science and math teaching is apparent. There is mounting evidence that students who participate in school gardening score significantly higher on standardized science achievement tests. Additional information can be located in the California School Garden Network. Next. By deepening children's sense of connection with nature, school gardening can inspire environmental stewardship. When children learn about water and energy cycles, the food chain, and the peculiar needs of individual species, and when they feel a sense of connection to a certain species or an individual plant, they have a reason to care about all the forces that impact that plant's future. A garden offers many occasions for achieving insight into the long-term human impact on the natural environment. From water shortage to the overuse of pesticides, children who engage in gardening have firsthand opportunities to observe the importance of conservation and intelligent allocation of resources. Next. Because of the engaging nature of gardening, students with attention deficit and other disorders often find it more suitable for their learning styles. Teachers report fewer discipline problems when science is taught in this sort of experiential manner. Students learn focus and patience, cooperation, teamwork, and social skills. There's a saying, tell me and I will forget, teach me and I will remember, involve me and I will learn. Next. Gardening activities can help to engage students in learning in a way that is more difficult in the classroom. Gardening allows surprises to arise when insects land in the vicinity, when plants are afflicted with mites or fungus, or when the weather surprises everyone and disrupts the plan for the day. These surprises show that nature is in control, and they give students immediate and personal reasons for wanting to know the answers to pressing questions. Next. Gardening ties students to the social and material history of the land. Gardeners from the community can be brought in to demonstrate local, traditional gardening techniques and the traditional uses of particular plants. Gardening offers many opportunities for connecting with local history by incorporating native plants and plants grown during the specific historical era. Next. Gardening offers schools a way of helping children to identify with their school and to feel proud of their own individual contribution. Children know which plants they help to grow. They feel proud of them, and this can improve the school spirit and children's attitude towards the school. Next. Our students and their families have access to fresh fruits and vegetables. Our children understand that not all people have equal access to food and are willing to share their bounty and sometimes even help with meal preparation. Next. Working and studying in a garden exposes children to career paths in agriculture, and these two Wyoming companies have demonstrated. Vertical Harvest is a 3-story hydroponic greenhouse that uses a mechanical carousel to rotate crops. It's like a dry cleaning carousel on its side, and it spans the entire 30 feet of the building. The carousel reduces the amount of LED lights typically needed by the balancing nature and artificial light. It also brings the plants right to the employees for harvesting and transportation. Next. A garden is a place for children to learn hands-on. For some children, this is the easiest way to learn. Not all of us learn literally. Some do better with a more tactical and product-driven approach. The child that starts a seed and sees it through to the harvest is a child who will never forget the lesson. After all, they get to eat the rewards of their labor. Next. As an instructor, you will learn along with your students. Sometimes the students will teach us something new. These things are seen differently from a child's point of view, and often they enlighten us to the things that we have not noticed. Next. Several schools in the district have grow stations and hydroponic systems. Some schools are now growing microgreens within the school. Next. We received a grant through the Department of Ag to install a geodome greenhouse and fencing at the new high school location. This particular greenhouse is an all-season greenhouse, so we're still in experiment with it, but it's been working out pretty good so far. Next. And according to the Wyoming Department of Education, there are 347 schools in the state of Wyoming, and as of right now, at least 1/3 of them have school gardens and hydroponic systems or greenhouses. That is approximately 29,053 gardening students. Schools are beginning to see the power in those gardens for their students. Thank you.
Thank you, Trish.
Mhm.
That was very illuminating. Our next speaker is Mindy Muley. And Mindy, if you could introduce yourself and take it away.
Good evening. My name is Mindy Miley, and I am with the Sensible Nutrition Program, which I'm in the state office in Laramie, but we have county offices across the state and on the Wind River Indian Reservation. And I represent the Healthy People Working Group. And so I wanted to I'll share my screen here. I just have some pictures about with some of the community gardening and that we've done around the state. And then I'll talk a little bit about the nutrition aspect. And I know Trish hit on this a little bit. And the health benefits of school and community gardens. So we have worked, I think, for the past 4 years on what we call policy systems and environmental changes, and really working with communities to make changes in the access to fresh fruits and vegetables, or making what we call the healthy choice an easier choice. And our program serves people with limited resources that are 185% of poverty. And so one of our initiatives is the Local Foods Community School Gardens Initiative. And so we've worked in several communities to get hoop houses or geodomes in their communities. We've gotten one in Afton, Wheatland, Evanston, and then 2 on the Wind River Indian Reservation. We're working with R&E centers to establish community gardens and donate produce. We have worked with a couple of low-income housing apartment complexes to get some gardens going there, one in Cheyenne and one in Rock Springs. And I see Wendy Nielsen's on with us tonight. She's our educator in Rock Springs. We have a couple of gardens in alternative high schools. And we've been working closely with one of our initiatives with early child education centers. And we've actually been able to start 2 gardens in some preschools in Cheyenne. And so that's something we're hoping to expand. And then in Sheridan, they have a beautiful community garden at the extension office there, and have really involved the community in volunteering and donating that produce, bringing in veterans to work with the gardening and the soil, which has really been therapeutic. And then they're able to take some of the produce home, and then also doing some small garden boxes and container gardening for home gardens. Oops. Sorry, I unshared my screen. Sorry about that. So let's see. Got a brand new computer and it's very touchy. Okay. Okay, so I just, here on the right is one of our ECE pictures of the kids that had gardening. And then also garden at a Head Start. And then down in the right-hand corner, I wanted to show this garden in Basin. Our educator there was able to talk to the county commissioners and get a small plot. She was only able to get between the sidewalk and the building. And so it's only like 250 square feet. But she was able to produce 522 pounds of produce and harvest that. And you can see here that they used hog panels and were able to kind of expand the garden area, increase the harvest. And so I think, you know, we always think we need lots of room for gardening, but we can be creative in trying to use space efficiently. So as a statewide effort, our educators were able to donate over 12,000 pounds of produce to local food pantries this past year, which was pretty amazing considering that we had COVID, the pandemic during this year, and we were still able to continue our gardening efforts. So we've really worked on increasing the local food and then access to food produce through donations. The second thing I wanted to talk about, and Trish covered this, Wyoming Department of Education efforts in school gardens. And Trish told you what's going on in Laramie and Albany County. The Department of Education is really trying to encourage this statewide. And as Trish mentioned, there's quite a few schools that are engaging in school gardens. And they also have applied for another farm to school grant, and they're hoping to hear soon about that grant, but then there will be funding available for many grants for schools to start school gardens or expand their school gardens. So that's something that's going to be coming up. And as part of our curriculum, we do education in the schools that are 50% or more free and reduced lunch. We have a curriculum that we teach, but then we also work with the schools to adopt healthy school-wide policies. And one of those definitely includes a school garden to implement things, as Trish said, that really help the student become more well-rounded and helps with science and total education. So that's something that we encourage. Let's see. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the health benefits. Most Americans do not meet the dietary guidelines for fruit and vegetable intake, and the current recommendation is 2.5 cups of vegetables and 2 cups of fruit per day. And we know fruits and vegetables are low in calories and packed with nutrients. They provide vitamins A and C, zinc, folic acid, and fiber, and many other health benefits. So when we engage in community gardening, we can increase access to and availability of healthy foods. Fruit and vegetable consumption is higher among adults who participate in community gardens and projects. And it's shown that those that do participate, their consumption is quite a bit higher than those who don't. School gardens, as Trish mentioned, increase consumption of fruit and vegetables in youth. And that it shows that the research shows that children are more willing to try new fruits and vegetables when they're involved in the gardening and growing and harvesting the fresh produce. They also have improved recognition of fruits and vegetables and are able to identify where food comes from. Physical activity levels are also higher among community and school gardeners because they work in garden, and that constitutes moderate to high physical activity. It also, you know, there's so many different activities involved in gardening so that you do get additional physical activity. And it does show that people who garden have lower body mass indexes than those who do not. So really connecting and interacting with nature itself has many health benefits. And the benefits of community and school gardens go beyond improving diet, physical and activity and weight outcomes. Numerous social and emotional benefits of community garden have been documented there's increased social interaction, strengthening family relationships, community building and engagement, and just greater life satisfaction. And then we also see food security increasing with those who do gardening, that they can supplement their food budget through gardening. And the garden here in the right-hand corner, the basin garden, actually started with their interagency council, and they worked together to start the garden, but they actually held their staff meetings while they gardened. So it helped, you know, I guess a community cohesiveness and working together. They were able to be active during their meetings. And so it, you know, I think it helps bring people together. And also she said they came up with some great ideas. So I know Lori Dickinson is on, and her garden in Sheridan, like I said, involved a lot of community volunteers and really helped that sense of community and giving back. The last thing I wanted to cover is the Wyoming Hunger Initiative through the First Lady's Hunger Initiative. We are starting a Grow a Little Extra campaign, and it's going to roll out soon. We were hoping for 1st of April. I think it might be a mid-April, but she's going to provide seeds to all the extension offices throughout the state for home gardeners to plant extra seeds this year, and then donate the produce to local agencies so that it will increase access to fresh vegetables. And the local sensible nutrition educator can help identify agencies that will take that produce, and so it can be donated to the extension office, and the sensible nutrition program educator will make sure to get that then to the agencies that need it, and we'll be able to use it. And we'll also provide some education with that on how to prepare the vegetables and some recipes that go with that. And so we're looking forward to rolling that out. And if you're interested in getting some seeds, they will be available in mid-April through your extension office. And the seeds available are carrots, cabbage, squash, green beans, broccoli, and spinach. So look for that to be rolling out soon. And if you just have your own garden and you want to plant an extra row of or save a little space, we would certainly appreciate the donations to people that have limited resources and can use the extra produce. All right, and so that is my presentation.
Great. Thank you so much, Mindy. There's a lot of opportunity there for us to contribute to our community, and I'm interested in hearing more about that Grow a Little Extra program. Next up is Leanne Miller. And Leanne, if you could introduce yourself and take it away. Unmute, Leanne.
Hi, I'm Leanne Miller. I am a part of the Wyoming Food Coalition, executive team, leadership team, and founding. Have been involved with some sort of food project for probably, well, all my life. Grew up on a farm in Minnesota, moved to Wyoming, a little harder to grow. Soil definitely is a little different. I've been a part of the Farm to Plate, Farm to School grants since 2009. 2012, the Casper Community Greenhouse Project, the Bowl Development Food Hub feasibility study, just have been involved in fresh foods and Casper Community Greenhouse Project, which is what I'm going to talk about tonight. So always have been involved with food. And I'm not going to repeat all the things that Mindy or Trish said, because that's exactly what, that's exactly why we're all in it. We're all doing this because we, we need to basically, I'm trying to get my screen to share, but it's not seeming. Oh, there we go. Can you see it now? The Casper Community Greenhouse Project, does it show up, Mike?
Yes.
Okay. So the reasons we build gardens at schools are for all the reasons that both Trish and Mindy have mentioned. So I'm not going to go into that. The Casper Community Greenhouse Project always wanted to do a community garden in this area, and we refocused a little bit and went to start collaborating with elementary schools. And we started with Mills Elementary, and we did Colorado Aquaponics Learning Day. We did Outdoor Learning Center. We partnered with Starlane, and they created an outdoor learning center. We've done literacy with Mother's Day sales. We've done a Charlie Cart. So we have gardening clubs and cooking clubs at both schools, and that we're doing. But we started with the town with Mills Elementary, and then Evansville reached out and said that they wanted to be a part of it. So what we did, and if you notice this greenhouse down here at the bottom, that we went the next step and decided to build a classroom greenhouse. So they're 24 by 48 size greenhouses, which allows a classroom to be in there and grow. And in the chat box, I put up a Wyoming Public Television YouTube video, Farm to Fork, on school greenhouses. I suggest you guys look it up. It's awesome. And it talks about all the benefits and all the things that are happening right now with school greenhouses. And for us, we also partner with other community people, not just schools, but Iris Clubhouse, which is a clubhouse for folks with mental brain injuries and trauma. We've done Mimi's House, which is homeless housing for unaccompanied teenagers, both boys and girls. We did do victory gardens in neighborhoods that we're sharing. So we're doing a lot of the Hunger Initiative thing, only it's going into neighborhoods. Those are some of the things that the Casper Community Greenhouse has been focusing on in the Casper area. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't a lot of things that are happening with community gardens. Casper's pretty vibrant with lots of community areas that have community gardens, like the Master Gardeners, Wyoming Food for Thought, our Victory Gardens. But one thing that nobody has really mentioned is we really started working with folks through the workforce services with internships and purposeful people by bringing a greenhouse working environment, because somebody mentioned it earlier. Greenhouses have for kids with ADD. Well, for people who have developmental disabilities and who need a quieter, more gentle type of thing, we've worked with them on learning the ins and outs of gardening and greenhouse work in order for them to move into that as an occupation. So that's something really awesome that we've done. I'm going to play the rest of my presentation is actually going to be a video that we put together that really describes a lot of what we're doing outside, just overall, and where our next plan is going to be.
So the Casper Community Greenhouse Project has been in existence since 2012. We've been working on this project, and our mission is to grow Casper with a generous partnership of Wyoming Medical Center on 5.83 acres of land that we can build and create. It's an artist's palette for us to grow. We're going to build greenhouses and gardens. We'll have raised beds. We'll have wetlands. We'll have walking paths. We'll have a respite for people to come to in the winter when the wind and the snow are blowing. This is an opportunity for us to really show every type of growing possible. What really makes me happy the most about this is that we get to impact the lives of low-income kids, show them where their food comes from, how good it tastes when they actually have a hand in growing.
The funnest part about building the greenhouse and gardening was when we spreaded the dirt and planted inside like all these beds.
Ready? In my experience, teaching kids in the actual facilities that are a big 4-season greenhouse, give them an open space to explore and play and learn and find tiny little bugs and actually get into the dirt of how your food is grown and how it tastes. And it tastes so much different when they are actively involved. And you can see that light bulb activate in their head. And it's awesome to be able to connect with them on that level.
So the carrots that I get at the store are like, they're more salty than these carrots, and these carrots are sweeter than those ones.
So a lot of these kids from low-income families have a great experience in the greenhouse, but it's very sad to listen to them talk about what happens at home and how much they haven't gotten to experience these different foods. And then they go home to their parents and say, we need to grow things, we need to try stuff. Why don't you try a tomato? They're including their families in this new experience and moving them on to that next healthier step in their lives together.
The Casper Community Greenhouse Project will continue its collaboration with Wyoming Medical Center as it transitions to Banner Health for our new project, Grow Casper, to be able to expand our reach to other communities within inside of Casper. One particular collaboration that we've worked on is with the Iris Clubhouse, a community center for adults with mental illness.
If you could imagine having your family, your friends, your career all taken away from you, that's what a lot of the folks who are members here at the Clubhouse, that's what they've experienced in their lifetime. So the Iris Clubhouse is a working community for adults with mental illness. The onset of a significant mental illness is devastating. A clubhouse is a place where people can come and regain some of those things. We work on the clubhouse together. We prepare a meal from scratch. We learn job skills, and I'm excited to say that we are working with the Casper Greenhouse Project and learning some gardening skills.
Awesome. Oh, that's great. Doing a great job. With the impact that we can make together, not just with low-income families, but the entire community, to gather in health, wellness, and growth, we will make a community project that will live on for generations.
We encourage you to get involved and improve the health of the community and help grow Casper.
Grow Casper. Grow Casper.
So I wanted to show this because this is not just a project that can be done in Casper. We're hoping to be able to do this all over on a large scale, on a small scale. The opportunities are pretty awesome. So I'm just going to show a few pictures of what our 5.5 acres is going to look like. It's all growing. All of the trees, we're partnering with the Wyoming Apple Project, Lost Apple Project, Chris Hilgert on fruit trees, which is all of these sorts of things. We have a community gardens in this area, the classroom, outdoor, everything will be basically an edible landscape, so to speak. So just to give you an idea what our plans are, I'm going to roughly run through this. And then I'm going to turn it over to Lise, who's doing something very, very similar in the northern part of the state. But I wanted to say that there's lots of these things that are happening right now. We just have to continue our efforts and then support them in any way they can. And I think that's what our purpose is not only will we build this for the Casper area, but our plan is that if anyone wants to do this, you know, we're out here to help them provide information, best practices, that sort of thing. Because ultimately, this is all about creating a healthier community, creating healthier soils so that we become less dependent on outside areas, that we correct our food system, because we can do community gardens, educational gardens, workforce development programs, and community supported agriculture programs, which creates incubator opportunities and businesses in any way, as well as a wellness. So with that, I think Jude Buchanan, who is the president of our group, if you wanted to add anything, I left a few minutes for you to make some comments if you want to add something, Jude.
I don't really have a lot to add to that. I just really want to ditto everything that Trish and Mindy said as well, that all of that are our findings as well. And I know that may seem like a no-brainer, but I'm grateful for the legwork that you guys did and put that together. I think that our group did start out, the history of it was this idea to have a place of respite and a community greenhouse that started back in 2011, and we started having these town hall style meetings, and two groups that thought that this was a good idea came together, and we formed a board of directors, and this is where we're at now, 10 years later. So I feel really proud and honored to be part of this, because it's been so inspiring and so much fun. And that's really all I have to say.
All right, thank you, Leanne and Jude. This has been a great series so far, and our final speaker is going to kind of bring it all together is Lise Foy. And Lisa, go ahead.
It's Lise. You had it right. Lise Foy. I'm the executive director of Rooted in Wyoming up in Sheridan. My husband and I are originally from Mississippi, but we got to Wyoming as fast as we could. We've been here about 9 years altogether. And I have spent my career, I've done lots of different things, but the common thread throughout my career has been working to teach kids about where their food comes from. I've been a 4-H agent in the past, and I've worked in an agriculture museum. So the job that I have now is something that's very near and dear to my heart. My intention tonight is to give a little bit of history about how and why Rooted in Wyoming came about. And we have known that there were several other groups and organizations across the state doing similar work, and it is so great to know that there's this tribe of people out there across the state, and we hope that we can all hold hands and work together. So let me see if I can share my screen. Does everybody see that?
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
Do you see it?
no, not yet.
No, not yet. So come back to this. I think I skipped a step. How about now?
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. So Rooted in Wyoming was formed in 2016 by a group of volunteers that saw an immediate and longstanding community desire to promote a better understanding of local foods in our community and nutrition. And the group of founders also saw that there were many children that were not familiar with the origins of their food and or several generations removed from the farm, and felt that school gardens were a great way to reconnect kids with our agricultural heritage. And I know Trish and Mindy spoke about this, and Leanne reinforced it, and we're all on the same page. That's exactly where we are. The first gardens with Rooted in Wyoming were built with volunteer labor, local business donations, and a lot of sweat and grit in our community. And we operated as a special project of the Wyoming Community Foundation, who served as our fiscal sponsor, so that we could be able to legally fundraise in the beginning. And in 2019, we were finally able to hire paid staff and received our own 501c3 status at that point. That's our vision statement at the top of this slide, that we envision a future where everyone in our state has access to local food and is motivated to grow their own. So why gardens? Again, we've talked about that, and I'm not gonna go back over all of that either. But I can attest as a garden leader myself, having run kids garden club for the last 3 summers here in Wyoming, that they will put the tomato in their mouth. They will put the strawberry in their mouth. And it's kids that normally would not eat vegetables, but because they've seen it grow and they've gone through that process, it's pretty amazing to watch that happen. And then also kids that will pick up worms and play with worms that that wouldn't otherwise. And it's just because you're out there having fun with them. A garden is an amazing tool. But why form a nonprofit to build gardens? Why do we need Rooted in Wyoming? We are able to provide support for school and community organizations by taking some of the administrative work out of the process for them, by doing grant work and fundraising, volunteer recruitment, tools and resources, planning and organization, and curriculum support. We have, there's plenty of curriculum out there, and we've just gone about the process of collecting that, so we have kind of a resource library for people to use. And the grassroots support for this endeavor in Sheridan County in the very beginning was astounding. There were 100 parents, teachers, administrators, volunteers that expressed their intent to help, that stepped forward in that first year. And from that beginning to now, we have a database of over 800 supporting constituents, as well as over 9,000 volunteer hours that have been logged in these efforts. A recent collaboration that just kind of shows why a nonprofit entity that's supporting this cause is important. We have collaborated all of the school gardens that we work with, along with the Sheridan County Food Forest, together to do a grant through the Wyoming State Forestry. And we're going to be able to do a virtual tour through signage across all of these gardens, which can turn into a tourism component for our community. So we're serving as a clearinghouse for all of those partners to be able to make a large purchase of fruit trees, to build some fence, raised beds, and also the signage project. These are the gardens that we have partnered with. We've partnered now with 9 schools and community organizations to date. Gardens have been built, or we have supported efforts to enhance an existing garden at Bighorn, Woodland Park, Holy Name, Grace Anglican Church, and the Tongue River Valley Community Center. Highland Park Elementary has a square-foot raised bed system, and they also have an aeroponic tower in one of their classrooms that we helped fund. Meadowlark Elementary is in the process of completing their geodesic dome greenhouse, and we've seen pictures of that in a couple of the other presentations. And they're building a hydroponic raft system inside that greenhouse, and they'll also have some outdoor raised beds there. Coffeen Elementary and Sagebrush Elementary, also in Sheridan County School District 2, have hosted projects. That's the vertical gardens. There were 13 of those awarded across the state last summer. So we put 2 of them inside schools over the winter. And both of those schools have plans for full garden construction in the very near future. Each garden parent entity that we work with decides what their goals are for their programming and what it will look like for them. I didn't mean to do that just yet. Let me go back. So some of the uses of the gardener, of course, the STEAM education that we've talked about. A couple of the gardens have been able to use the produce to supplement school lunches and snacks from their garden, and one of them has even sold the produce from the garden to the cafeteria. So I'm not exactly sure how that works, because it's got to be all one budget within the school, and they're moving the money from one line item to another, but the money's coming back to the garden, which I think is pretty cool. Some of the gardens are used as science labs, some of them for summer reading camps, after school programs. There's culinary programs, and some are just a community harvest and share project. One of the newer gardens is wanting to include a sensory garden, and there'll be bilingual signage because that particular community has quite a Spanish-speaking population. So then where are we going from this point? Our board of directors underwent a strategic planning session last August to conceptualize some goals for where we want to go in the next 3 to 5 years. Because we're pretty close to being able to help build a garden at every school in our county. And they named the organization Rooted in Wyoming, not Rooted in Sheridan, with the thought of being able to reach farther than just our county. And we have had some conversations with a couple of organizations in Johnson County and hope to be able to work with them. But at the close of the 2020 growing season, we partner with 9 schools and organizations, and we have outreach efforts in every K-5 school in the county, and reaching farther than that. We outlined 3 strategic directions: building program resources, expanding our leadership, and a proposed Center for Self-Sufficiency, which is very similar to where Leanne is going with the Casper Community Greenhouse Project, and I can't wait to see more of that. But in honor of time, I'll just talk about the Center for Self-Sufficiency. And we currently, our organization is in a donated office space, and we borrow greenhouse space to be able to start seeds to provide transplants to the gardens. So the proposed center would include greenhouses, teaching kitchens and classrooms, possibly an orchard and farm grounds, and it would be not just for the kids, it's for everybody in the whole community to come and use and to be able to gain those life skills. The lines of thought include teaching resiliency and self-sufficiency beyond our schools and growing our local food supply even more. We have hired a consultant to lead a feasibility study for our project and to gauge the community support and the specific needs as we design the facility and locate our property. We are interested in building a statewide network of people doing similar projects across the state so we can share resources and help each other grow. This is our board of directors and me in the corner down there. This is the people that are doing all the work. We've recently added a few board members, so our group is a little bit larger. Bonnie Gregory, that's in the top left-hand corner, is our founder. has worked really hard. And with that, I will close. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer anything about what's going on in Sheridan. And I'm super excited to hear about the other projects across the state.
Thank you, Lise. Yeah, I'm excited too about all the efforts that are being, put forth in communities around the state. Earlier, you said that 1/3 of schools have gardens, which means that 2/3 don't. And so this is a great opportunity for progress if you'd like to be involved. Both school and community gardens will benefit from members of the wider community becoming involved. And to do that, I'm going to put an email in the chat. Actually, Emily, could you put that email in chat? It's info@wyfoodcoalition.org if you'd like to become involved with any of these groups. Also, the different speakers, if you have your contact information you would like to put in, put your contact information in chat. One of the things that the Sustainable Ecosystems Working Group would like to do is perhaps be the medium by which all these different groups pull together to push to have community and school gardens in every community and every school throughout the state. An ambitious goal, a long-term goal, but something that if we focused on, I think could happen. And I think it's important for our community's resiliency, in the face of, a changing climate, that it would be good for all of us, all of our local communities to be able to rely on their a food source that is local to them. With that, I don't think we're going to have time for questions tonight, but if folks put their contact information in the chat, then you can ask questions directly to the different speakers. And to close for the evening, here's Adam Bunker.
All right, thank you, Mike, and thank you to all of the speakers who joined us this evening. That was fantastic, and it's always inspiring to hear just the amazing work that's being done around the state. So I won't keep anyone on too much longer. I just wanted to put in a quick plug for our next speaker series, which is going to be coming up, I believe, Thursday, April 22nd, at the same time, 6:30 to 7:30. And that is going to feature, it's going to be a joint session between our Strong Native Communities Working Group and our Fairness and Justice Working Group. So hopefully we hope that you'll join us then as well. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.
You're on mute, Leanne. Oh.
Emily, can you copy the chat and send it to everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, of course. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.